Alright, peace and greetings, YouTubers. So, can we take a minute to talk about everything going on as far as these big heavy hitters in the industry and corporations and politics and entertainment that are all being taken down due to the fact that their names are caught up in the midst of a bunch of allegations surrounding sexual assault, sexual misconduct, rape, pedophilia, all kind of different things. And now you're seeing the floodgates open. And I said this for those who follow me or that are subscribed. I said this a few videos ago where I was talking about, I think, Roy Moore, and how I said that his situation is just like one tiny piece of the pie. Like the floodgates are about to open. And, you know, the surface is just now being scratched. And I personally believe that there are so many people who have yet to be exposed for the things that they have done. And like, so when you look at somebody like Matt Lauer, a lot of people are like, no, he wouldn't do that, because, you know, he's beloved by a lot of people, especially people who watch the Today Show. And the thing about it, even though like this is all new and it's all still developing, but the thing about it and how I look at it is this: Matt Lauer is pretty much the face of the Today Show. He pretty much owns NBC in the morning. He pretty much is the person who calls the shots, and he has a lot of power behind the Today Show. He's pretty much the reason why Ann Curry was let go in 2012, and he calls a lot of shots in the boardroom. And he also has like that nearly $40 million contract. So if somebody like Matt Lauer can be taken down, and the network is willing to lose ratings and willing to pretty much put a show like the Today Show in a gray space where there's no guarantee that it will be successful any longer in comparison to other shows like Good Morning America, he had to really have some evidence against him. He had to really have a whole line of accusers. He had to really do a whole bunch of stuff in order for them to really be willing to take him down that fast without really doing, you know, their own research. I don't know how long they had been researching or how long they had been investigating everything, but, you know, for everything to happen so fast, clearly there was something he did. And what's interesting to me is every time these people are taken down or something, you know, explodes and it hits the media and everybody starts talking about it, then all of a sudden there's all this extra footage and there's all these extra stories and excerpts of things that have taken place. And I'm like, where was all this when everything was initially happening? Like, clearly, not only was Matt Lauer doing whatever Matt Lauer did, there were people around Matt Lauer who didn't say anything, who let this stuff slide, who, you know, act like they didn't see anything because they didn't want to lose that promotion. They didn't want to lose whatever they had. And that's how, like, rape culture, and that's how this culture in general operates in this society. Because sometimes, especially when it comes to individuals who are powerful, people who have power, who carry influence, who call the shots, who can pretty much end somebody's career in a snap of a finger, all they got to do is make a phone call or sign a piece of paper. They carry power, and the things that they do affect more than just the people that they're directly, you know, assaulting or doing whatever they do sexually to. Because then the people who are around them also have to consider, do I say anything or do I lose my career? You know, do I say anything or do I always be looked at as not credible if the person who, you know, made the rape allegation decides to change her mind because she was bought out? Now all of a sudden I look crazy. Or if the woman who made, or guy, it is America, everything goes on around here, like, or the person who was the victim of whatever sexual assault, instead, maybe they didn't renege on the story for money, but maybe they, you know, they got enough threats that they just said, okay, I lied about everything, and now you, that same person who was backing that person up, looks crazy. Like, those kind of decisions and the things that people like a Matt Lauer, when they do something like that, it affects more than just the initial victims of whatever they've done. It affects an entire web of people. That's how power works in this country. And so that's why, if you look at an example like somebody like, I guess, Kathy Griffin, and, you know, she had the controversy with the whole Trump's head thing. And so that was one aspect. She was already like diet blacklisted at that point. But then once she opened her mouth and started going against Homeboy from TMZ and the guy from Bravo and a few other people, she's going against some of the big wigs, and all of a sudden now she can't find work anywhere. I think she posted a video not too long ago where she was saying, you know, I'm overseas on tour, but when I get back to America, I have no work. There's no theaters to book me. I have no shows. I have nothing. All right? And that's how the power structure works in this country. If you're somebody in power, you have the shots to call a lot of things. And that's why something like sexual assault or sexual allegations, rape, things like that, that's why there's often so brushed under the table. Because the main demographic of people in this country who carry the most power are white men, especially white men who have wealth. And so that's literally how things, you know, operate. And the thing about Matt Lauer and a lot of these other people are, they've been doing this stuff for years. And these aren't the only people. Like, I guarantee you, there is a ton of people who have yet to be exposed, who might not ever be exposed. You know, there's just so many people who are still going to be coming out of the woodworks. And I think this affects every industry, not just television, not just film, not just journalism, and not just politics. But I think Wall Street is next. I think a lot of these big corporations are next, like, you know, like companies like Merrill Lynch and Sallie Mae. Hopefully Sallie Mae, so everybody's college loans can be forgiven. You know, a lot of these big corporations, there's so many people up top that probably have done all kind of things, and even people who aren't up top, but people who are just there from pedigree, just from, you know, relationships, because their great-grandfather owned the company, or their uncle ran something, or their father ran something. That's how wealth operates in this country. And when you think about the demographic of a lot of these men who are basically falling, a lot of them are over the age of 50. And I think that comes from the fact that they grew up in a boys will be boys culture. We still have that culture today, but it's being attacked, and it's slowly being seen, ripped, and chipped away. And the issue with a boys will be boys culture is that boys will be boys allows young men to never be held accountable for anything. You know what I mean? You teach them at a young age that, you know, they do silly things. You know, they get in a fight at school, beat somebody up. Okay, cool. Boys will be boys. Cool. And then it escalates to the next thing. All of a sudden, you know, homeboy pushed the girl off the swing and she scabbed her knee. Oh, you're not supposed to push girls, but boys will be boys. You know, don't hit him. You don't hit him, young lady, blah, blah, blah. Then it escalates to something else. Now the boy's 15. It's prom night, or junior prom. Well, maybe I guess he's 17, 18. Prom night. He wants to sleep with the girl in the car. Old girl's not trying to have it, whatever. Something happens, boys will be boys. She's not going to go out of her way and say anything, because the first thing people are going to say is, well, what were you doing in the car with him after prom at 1 a.m. on the cliff anyway? All right? Why did you dress like that anyway? Well, I mean, she did have a prom dress on, so that's why she had a cleavage out. But, you know, it's just the way things are. So that culture allows men or young boys to grow up into men who are still treated like boys when they do things that are definitely adult offenses. And that's what's happening. So now you're watching that culture be attacked, and that's why so many of these people are all magically all of a sudden being taken down at the same time, because somebody opened the floodgates, and now people are like, okay, it's okay to finally speak. It's okay to say something. It's okay to, you know, bring it to the forefront. It's okay. I'm willing to risk my career to put this out there. Because the thing is, a lot of people are saying, well, how do you know that Matt Lauer or some of these other people, how do you know they're not lying? How do you know that, you know, these people just don't want money? My opinion on that is there are people who are going to lie. There's people who are out for money. But the thing about it is it's such a small percentage, because there's so much baggage that comes with that it's not even worth the little bit of cash settlement that you'll get. It's not even worth, you know, them going to jail sometimes, because at the end of the day, you end up becoming public enemy number one, especially when you go after somebody who's beloved by society. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why so many people don't say anything. These are just the people that are talking. You know, 1 in 3 women are going to be victims of sexual assault at some point in their life. You know what I mean? And so that's a third of the population, as far as the women's population. That's a lot of motherfucking people and everything. But you only hear about a small percentage of them who actually go out of their way and say something. And so it is crazy. And then I saw the piece about, I don't know if I said this already, but the footage with, I think Katie Couric had bent down or something, and he was saying something like, oh yeah, keep doing it from that angle, that looks good. I mean, they got this crap on camera. I'm like, y'all, we're just sitting on that all these years? I mean, that wasn't anything to really make a hoopla about, but clearly it shows you that, okay, this man clearly is very comfortable with how he does things around people. And it goes back to the whole element of a power structure, especially when it comes to wealthy white men. You know, coming from that same era, when I talk about especially these men that are 50 and over, they come from an era where, if you go back to when they were children, women didn't have a position of power in anything. Their job was to be the seamstress, to be the nurse, maybe be the teacher, cook the meals, raise the kids, stay home, shut up and be happy. If you're unhappy, your husband will buy you a fur coat and I'll get back in and do them dishes and shut the hell up. That was pretty much the culture that they'd grown up in. So when women would express that, hey, I'm not happy with what you're doing, I'm frustrated with what you're doing, that same mindset that they saw some of their fathers, you know, have, and the grandfathers and the men that were around them, they bring in that same trait, and that's their experience. And so that's why so many of them can do what they do, because in addition to having that mindset, a lot of these big industries, once you get to a certain level, it's a good old boys club. Everybody looks out for everybody. The same way you can kind of have that same element with the police and what goes on, how it's really hard to prosecute police when they do things that may not be necessarily right. You know what I mean? That good old boys club. It's a strong little, it's a strong camaraderie of a bunch of people that are just locked in together, looking out for each other. And I think that's why you see so many people, it's so easy to get blacklisted. All it takes is a phone call. All it takes is a piece of paper to be signed. And it's interesting to see what's going on. So now you're seeing this boys will be boys culture be attacked because people are over it. Now, I'm going to also be devil's advocate here. My question is this, and this is specifically to white women, because they're the main ones out here marching and protesting and burning stuff down at the moment, and we women, we are going to fight, and these men are not going to... Cool, I'm down with you, but my question is, where was all this in November? Because you have a current president, and by the way, I'm not even Republican, Democrat, I could give two shits about either party because they're both full of shit. But where were y'all at when you have the current president who had dozens of women, had like more than a dozen women accusing him of different things? He was caught on camera talking about what he did. I just grab them, I just start kissing all over them. They love me. Goes back to that same power structure. He knows that because he's wealthy, he's rich, he can do what he wants. And even if somebody's mad at him, he can buy them out. But you see, he had all these women making these allegations. What was his response? He said, okay, well, they're all liars, I'll sue them. Okay, cool. But then he kept going. He said, well, I mean, did you see what they look like? I'm like, wait a minute. Okay, so you're implying that, they got to look a certain way in order for you to rape them or sexually assault them. Got it. Donald Trump has a little bit of class with how he rapes his women. Go ahead, Mr. President, you bad. So my question is for that 53%. I'm anxious to see, are y'all the ones doing the marching too? Because y'all are real mute with the current power structure that's, in the White House. Y'all were comfortable with that. And that's another observation, and that's another perception or perspective, because if you follow me, I already did a video talking about Donald Trump being America's reality and why I believe that 53% voted the way they did. For, all of the whole, it's really hard to be empathetic or supportive of the whole feminist movement if the majority of the people in the demographic are voting for the misogynist, are voting for the male chauvinists, that are voting for the person that's anti-women. It's very interesting to watch how this unfolds. Now that's specifically white women, because the other demographics of women didn't vote the same way, didn't have the same opinions. And then again, the other issue I have is these are all white women that are coming out. I can imagine how many black women are afraid to even open their mouths, because everybody knows in this society black women are the bottom of the barrel. No matter how much you want to look at it, when it comes to how society treats everybody within this power structure, it goes white men, white women, black men, black women. Black women are way down here. And I feel really bad, because I can guarantee you there are so many black women that are victims of this same institution. And if they are victims to especially a white man in power, nobody's going to believe them, because black women are already sexually objectified and looked at as harlots anyway. And so, unfortunately, that's the society we're in. So now, in order for things to change, because people are always like, oh, we need to have a conversation. We need to start a dialogue. My thing is, we have so many conversations about everything and so many dialogues, and nothing happens. We're past the dialogues. Everybody has known for the longest that men, we can get away with a lot of shit. All right? It is what it is. Okay, you've ever heard like the couch interview culture, kind of like men can get, which explains Matt Lauer and his little button under the desk. The woman comes in, he pushes that button, that door is locked, now she needs to sit down. Oh, you said you want to be an anchor, huh? Okay. All right, cool. I'm not even going to look at your resume, but let me ask you, what can you do for me? That's pretty much that culture that's there. And so that entire culture and structure would have to be seam ripped, and you got to just push the refresh button on everything. So I see a bunch of corporations falling, or not even falling, but changing management at least, because I believe that there are so many people, and it's not just corporations, it's just even your regular everyday neighbors, people you might even associate with, some of your school teachers, your doctors, the person who, hell, freaking parking enforcement, people giving you tickets on your car. One of them then did something. You know what I mean? So hey, all you people who got stuff and got baggage, hey, get your affairs in order. They're coming after you. All right, it's coming. So I hope you have made amends with whatever you've done, and you've taken accountability for the actions that you've had, because that's the issue now. Too many people have done all these different offenses, and they've been sleeping good every night. So now I'm sure a lot of them are very uncomfortable. They're not sleeping that well. They're waking up in a cold sweat, and I'm enjoying watching it. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Share yours, subscribe.